Zeus was not the rightful heir. He was the survivor of a divine family pattern built on imprisonment, mutilation, prophecy, and revolt. Which raises the sharper question: if Uranus fell and Kronos fell, why did Zeus survive the succession pattern? This is the story of Greek mythology's most violent succession crisis, and how kingship became something more than devouring your own future. This is MYTHOLOGY. Most people meet Zeus as the king who was always meant to rule. He sits on Olympus, throws thunder, judges gods and mortals, and looks like the final answer to divine power. I used to read the story that way too. Zeus wins because he is Zeus. But when you start with Hesiod, the most influential surviving framework for this myth, the picture gets darker. Greek myth had no single canon. Cities, poets, cults, and storytellers shaped different versions for different purposes. That matters because a myth like this was not just entertainment, it was a way to think about ancestry, ritual, cosmic geography, and the legitimacy of power. So we are not chasing one official Greek Bible. We are following Hesiod's theogony because it preserves the most influential surviving map of divine succession. The common belief is simple. Zeus became king because he was the next son in line. It sounds logical, because dynasties often want power to look clean. But Hesiod's succession story is not clean. It is not even really a family tree in the modern sense. It is a story about how the world itself becomes livable. It begins with pressure. Gaia, the earth, brings forth Ouranos, the sky, often Latinized as Uranus. Together, they generate a terrifying divine family: Titans, Cyclopes, and the 100-handers. These children are not minor characters waiting politely off stage. The Titans include future rulers, mothers, oath powers, and cosmic boundaries. The Cyclopes will later matter because they make the storm weapons of Zeus. The 100-handers will matter because no ordinary army can match them. They are raw cosmic forces, and Ouranos cannot tolerate them. Hesiod says he hides them away inside Gaia. That detail matters. This is not a peaceful family tree. It is a cosmos where creation immediately becomes confinement. The first ruler does not organize the powers he has generated. He blocks them from appearing in the open world. Gaia does not respond like a passive landscape. She groans under the burden, and the pain becomes political. A ruler has used the body of the mother as a prison for the children. That is the first moral fracture in the myth. And then Gaia does something extraordinary. She fashions a sickle from adamant, a divine, unbreakable substance. This is not just a weapon. It is the first tool in the myth that can cut the structure of reality. The sickle is curved like an agricultural tool, but in this scene, it harvests a kingship, not grain. Then Gaia asks her children who will use it. Only Kronos answers. And this is the first great turn in the pattern. The child does not inherit the father's throne. The child takes it. In Hesiod's account, Ouranos descends over Gaia, and Kronos attacks with the sickle. The act marks a violent rupture between sky and earth. That means the violence is not only family violence. It can be read as reorganizing the universe. Space opens. Before this rupture, divine life is cramped inside the pressure of an unseparated cosmos. After it, there is room for succession, conflict, birth, and rule. The path opens for Kronos and the Titans to rule, while the Cyclopes and 100-handers remain suppressed until Zeus later frees them. Rule changes hands. But the myth refuses to let overthrow look simple. The blood of Ouranos falls on Gaia. From that blood come the Erinyes, spirits of vengeance. That matters because vengeance enters the cosmos at the exact moment kingship changes hands. The violence is not erased by victory. It becomes a divine presence that remembers the wound. From that blood come the giants. That matters because later divine order will still face rebellion from earth-born power. From that blood come the Melii, ash tree nymphs. Scholars often connect their ash tree identity with spear shafts, the material of later human violence. And from the severed genitals cast into the sea, foam gathers around a new force. Aphrodite is born from violence. That impossible fact is one reason this myth stays so powerful. The same act that wounds the sky creates vengeance, giants, ash nymphs, and love. This is not random shock. It shows that violence in Greek theogony does not simply destroy. It generates consequences that no ruler can fully control. So Kronos does not simply win a throne. He inherits a damaged cosmos. He also inherits the one lesson no ruler wants to learn. Fathers can fall to their children. This is where the story tightens, because Kronos knows exactly how kings fall. He was the weapon in his father's overthrow. So when Gaia and Uranus prophesy that one of Kronos' own children will overthrow him, Kronos believes them. He has to. The prophecy is not abstract. It is his biography. He does not hear the prophecy as a warning from outside the pattern. He hears it as the pattern naming him again, this time as the father who will fall. So Kronos chooses prevention. He swallows Hestia. He swallows Demeter. He swallows Hera. He swallows Hades. He swallows Poseidon. This is the second generation of the same nightmare. Uranus buried his children in the mother. Kronos buries his children in the father. Different method, same fear. The image is grotesque, but the logic is precise. If the children never stand outside him, they can never stand against him. And this is why Zeus cannot be understood as a normal heir. There is no safe line of inheritance here. There is only survival. The old explanation says Zeus becomes king because he is Kronos' youngest son. But birth order does not save him by itself. What saves Zeus is a chain of strategy, deception, and alliance. Rhea hides him. In many traditions, that hiding place is Crete, where the infant god survives beyond Kronos' reach. Kronos is tricked with a stone wrapped like a baby. That stone is not a comic detail. It is the small false object that breaks the machinery of divine fear. The trick works because Kronos has reduced kingship to one reflex: consume the threat before it grows. Zeus grows outside the prison that swallowed his siblings. That changes the pattern. For the first time, the threatened child is not contained. But survival is still not kingship. Zeus must free the swallowed children. He must turn victims into allies. That is the first real difference between Zeus and the earlier rulers. Uranus and Kronos respond to danger by reducing the number of powers in the world. Zeus responds by increasing the number of powers on his side. He must gather the powers Kronos pushed aside. He must fight the Titans. The Cyclopes give him thunder, lightning, and the thunderbolt. The 100-handers bring overwhelming force to the Olympian side. Hesiod's war is not a duel between a young god and an old god. It is a war over which network of divine powers gets to organize reality. So Zeus's victory is not a clean father-to-son transfer. It is a coalition victory after a cosmic civil war. And after victory, he still has one problem. How do you stop the next Kronos from appearing? This is the part people often miss. Zeus does not stabilize the crisis, at least provisionally, by becoming the strongest bully. He stabilizes it by distributing honors. In Greek terms, these honors are timai, shares of status, office, and divine privilege. That word is crucial because it turns victory into structure. A god with a recognized portion has something to defend inside the order. A god with no portion has a reason to become a crisis. In this political reading, a divine power denied a portion risks becoming a threat to the order. That is the political genius of the myth. Ouranos suppressed his children. Kronos swallowed his children. Zeus gives the gods a place in the cosmos. In the wider Greek tradition, Hades is associated with the underworld. Poseidon is associated with the sea. Zeus is associated with the sky, while Hesiod emphasizes more broadly that he apportions honors among the gods. That does not make Zeus gentle. Greek myth never turns him into a modern constitutional monarch, but it does make his kingship different, and that difference is the revelation. Everything points to one conclusion. Zeus did not inherit order. He built it out of a broken family system. That is why the story is more interesting than a simple royal succession. Zeus wins because he survives the pattern, then changes how power is shared. As a symbol, the sickle gives way to the thunderbolt. The prison becomes a council. The swallowed children become ruling gods. And the cosmos stops being only a battlefield between fathers and children. It becomes a negotiated order, however fragile, however violent its origin. That is the deeper meaning of the Uranus, Kronos, Zeus succession pattern. It is not just a story about who gets the throne. It is a story about what power fears. Power fears replacement. Power fears prophecy. Power fears the children it creates. And Greek myth asks whether any ruler can break that fear without becoming another version of his father. This succession myth reminds us that order is often born from the very violence it claims to overcome. But Zeus's victory opens a harder question. What happens when the next generation challenges Olympus itself? I'm here to help you know how divine power was really imagined. In the Uranus, Kronos, Zeus succession pattern, was Zeus the breaker of the cycle, or just the ruler who managed it best? See you at the next throne.